Orlando Maldonado is the wealth advisor at Potomac Wealth Management, Evicta of the Princeton Group. He is a financial virtuoso. He has a way with numbers, but not only a way with numbers, he's able to dig deep and help his clients create solutions to help them achieve their financial goals. He's an independent thinker, and he's also one that questions everything. If you were at our session last night, he is not only focused on the why, but he's also focused on being the person to help with solutions. He is a Yale graduate, and he also, if you haven't realized, he's one of us. He has heritage that goes as deep as Yoruba, parts of North Asia, Middle East, as well as Latin America. So I learned quite a bit knowing him yesterday, and I don't think he realized I was actually introducing him. So you will enjoy his opening remarks today. He is also the sponsor of this breakfast, so we thank him very much for his contributions to making this a success. He's not only an entrepreneur at heart, but he's one that loves humanity. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Orlando Maldonado.
You know, I was once told that I have a big voice, so I don't think I need this, because then I would really have a really big voice. I'm going to make this short, hopefully sweet. I started this journey back in 2021 when I met Aletta and Zainab, and I was at an African event in Vegas where a friend of mine called me and said, "You have to be here." Okay. So I'm sitting there, and this attractive African woman, like, you've seen how a panther approaches its prey? It approaches me like, like this, and I'm going, what the? So I go over, and she sits down next to me. That was Aletta, by the way. Your note is Z. Zainab goes by Z. So she pointed to her going, no, that was she. But so anyway, the point is, she says to me, yeah, you're here. That's great. Why are you here? And, listening, so I open up my phone, go to ancestry.com, give it to her, and I keep listening. And, she reads over and she goes, oh. So let me explain what the O is about. What you see in front of you is a Southern European. Predominantly, you're correct. I'm Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, and Greek. I'm also Sephardic Jewish. I'm Arabic. I'm Persian. I'm about a little Asian ancestry, about 2%, and it took me years to figure out how that came to be. I'm 3 indigenous tribes of South America, and I'm actually sub-Saharan African too. Okay? And if you know anything about the Caribbean, many of the islands in the Caribbean are very intermixed. 82% of the Puerto Ricans are multiracial. 12% claim to be European. I basically would like to say, let me see your genetic testing, okay? But anyway, so that's why I'm here, and that's why I was at that event. So let me explain what my vision is, and then I'll turn this over to whoever is next. Knowing that there were these diasporas spread globally, I said to myself, it's interesting. Every diaspora seems to work on its own, on its little community. And that's good, because they're dealing with the community. And then I learned that globally, $96 billion were sent back to Africa by the diaspora members. Now, we all know that money goes to help family, right? Pay for education for cousins, nieces, nephews, help mom and papa with the house, or help somebody achieve something. Well, guess what? That's a common theme for all immigrants that have come here. Okay? Pardon me? You need a mic for the camera. You sure? Oh. Okay. So, anyway, the point being is that this is a common thing. In fact, I was speaking with Ray Hakim. Can you stand for a sec? She's a guest. And we were discussing the similarities between all the ethnic groups that have arrived. Do you know that when the Germans first arrived, the English said they're going to Germanize America?
And they used to joke about how bad that, what they call it, whatever that cabbage thing is, you know, and the English would say, that's horrible. In fact, do you know there was a battle that was fought because they found out the English were shooting this cabbage that was fermented that the Germans eat, and they knew it was being sent to a place, so they knew where the British were massing, so the Americans headed there and actually pretty much ambushed the British, okay? So the point is, this is a thing that's repetitive in this country. When the Irish arrived, they're as white as can be, right? Pale, burn easily, red hair, big jaws, you know, a lot of smiles. The English didn't receive them. In fact, do you know that the Irish were discriminated against to the point where they had signs on doors that said Nina? And when I was asked by an Irishman, do you know what that means? I said, you mean the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, the ships that Christopher Columbus? And he laughed. He goes, no. He goes, no Eñe, just Nina. It means no Irish need apply. So the Irish were discriminated against. When my Jewish ancestors arrived, the same thing happened to them. When the Italians arrived, the same thing happened to them. So what I'm trying to get at is that maybe it's particular here in the United States, but based upon what I hear in Europe, it's not. But that's a thread that occurs to every immigrant group that arrives here. They got to go through the trial by fire, okay? And the issue is you have to persist. And you have to be able to show them that, hey, I'm just as good as you are. You know, and whatever you may have been told and whatever you think is rubbish. But back to the diaspora. The point is we all operate individually. So I'm going to give you something out of history. How is it that the Mongols were ever able to conquer an area bigger than Africa? How was it? There were nomadic tribes, disorganized, fighting among each other. One man, Temujin, you know him as Genghis Khan. He conquered and beat the other tribes and got them to submit to him. And then he launched a force that took over northern China. It took them a generation to take over the southern China. But while they were doing that, then they expanded westward, entered the areas that you know as Kazakhstan, Afghanistan. They continued to move. My point is, the diasporas are the Mongols of today. If we can organize the diasporas, and I mean the Zimbabweans, I mean the Zambians, I mean the Kenyans, I mean every diaspora, if we can organize them under one roof, each one independent in their community, but each one committing themselves to the greater organization, and we will call that the International African Diaspora. Now you gain political power. Now you gain economic power. And the international diaspora can negotiate things. The international diaspora can negotiate things with insurance companies for the benefit of its membership. The power is in the numbers. And by the way, if the international diasporas can work together, that may be the beginning of a unified Africa. Because each of you have family, and if you give that message back into your communities, it becomes a message delivered throughout all Africa. That is the goal. Alone, each of you cannot do it. Okay? Each individual country is not big enough to exert power. But together, as a fist, you can crush your opponents. You can brush away those that try to hinder. So that's why I'm here. Because my goal is to try to organize the diasporas. Now look, I got to be upfront. In fact, I just had a conversation with a lady at my table that you've got to be upfront about what you're doing. Is there an economic benefit to me? Oh, hell yes. I'm a capitalist, okay? I am a capitalist, okay? Now, I could claim that's my Jewish side, my Persian, my Arabic, my African side. You know, look at all the businesses being started in Africa. So the Africans know their stuff. So you got to give credit where credit is due. But my point remains, yes, I'm going to benefit financially, all right? Now, I have a talent, and the talent is to look at something, and it goes with the definition of this thing, entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? They're going to ask me that question. And when the woman asked me the question, Celia, I didn't hesitate. I came out. I go, being an entrepreneur is having the mindset to look at a situation, analyze it, and figure out how to monetize that situation such that it improves your net worth. I don't care if you work for an employer. If you have that ability, your employer will benefit. Hopefully he'll pay you for it. Hopefully he'll give you bonuses. But as an entrepreneur and you're on your own, then you benefit 100%. So my goal is to organize the diasporas. My goal is within the United States to become your financial advisor. Yes, I'm a wealth management advisor. There's a couple that's here now. I haven't seen them, but they were recently recommended to me. They're African. And I was approached with a situation. I gave them a solution. And I said to them, smiling to myself, but over email, I said, I'm not a lawyer. We need to confirm this with a lawyer. The lawyer confirmed it. There's somebody else here who gave me a contract. She was entering into a business venture. She says, as a friend, she says, can you look at this contract? I go, I'm not a lawyer. She goes, yeah, but I think you know what you're doing. I said, I'm not a lawyer. She goes, I want you to do it anyway. So I did. Outlined it. I think I read it very quickly. It took me like a half hour to read it. Wrote my notes, sent it back to her. She takes it to her lawyer. The lawyer says, I don't need to do anything. Whoever did this for you pretty much hit all the salient points. He goes, we'll just go with the suggestions. So that's what a wealth advisor does. Now, I'm a certified financial planner, which basically means, yes, I can help you with estate planning, insurance, long-term care, wealth management, and I'm also a CIMA, Certified Investment Management Analyst. You've never heard of it. If you have, I'll be impressed. Mostly it's done in institutions. A Certified Investment Management Analyst takes 3 to 4 years to complete graduate level courses, but what it does, it teaches you the who, whats, and whys of economic pressures and factors and how they impact the market. And I'll leave you with this to prove my point, and I'll send an email to anyone because emails are time-stamped and dated. March 2021, all of you, including everyone in the United States, was hearing inflation was horrible, it's gonna destroy us, oh my God. What is it? The sky's falling in. I sent out an email to clients that said, nah, don't worry about it. It'll peak in 2022. Second half of 2022, it'll start to subside, it'll accelerate in the first half of 2023. That's exactly what happened. And that was written in March of 2021. February 2022, I sent another email attached to March of 1, and I said, this is what's gonna happen. We're just on the cusp of it. Sent that email out in July again, and said, it's starting, okay? That's what a good financial planner does. They just don't take what they hear. They read, and they understand. How am I able to do it? I'm not that smart. I rely on the talent of smarter people. So what I do is I bring my clients to the table and I bring them some of the top investment minds in the world, whether it's Goldman Sachs, whether it's Allianz, whether it's Alliance Bernstein, okay? Whether it's Putnam, whether it's Eaton Vance. They manage the money for my clients individually, not in mutual funds. Mutual funds have a hidden fee that you don't know about, and if you want, I'll tell you about it. But the point being is, I get all the research from all these firms, from their economists, from their market strategists. I read them. Then I turn around and challenge each one with the idea that someone else proposed. And each one then counters their points. And then I go back and said, hey, so-and-so said this. And by that time it's done, I basically have gotten down to what I think is really gonna happen. Am I perfect? Nah, there's no such thing as perfection, okay? So anyway, one other thing. To give you an idea, someone asked me, how African are you? And I smiled and I said, maybe not as much as you, but come pretty darn close. And they go, how so? I said, in Puerto Rico, the Yoruba is the dominant culture. I said, I went through the ceremony, the religious ceremony, the purification ceremony. If you know anything about it, you dress, you go through it, and for a year you have to dress in white and you go through a series of programs. And you wear these beads. Each bead represents the colors of your aura. I won't tell you how many I wore because that will tell you what my power is, okay? But the point being is, yes, I have been indoctrinated. I have learned. And by the way, there's a scientist, African. Aleta knows about it. You know, as we grow, we accept the Western ways. And I'm going to submit an idea to you. Africa has its own ways. Recently it came out that the earliest smelting of metals occurred in Africa. It recently came out that the earliest writings were not in Mesopotamia, but in Africa. So here's my point to you. The Africans have the ability to do what they want. All you need to do is find a way to organize yourselves as one power. Individually, Kenya cannot do it. Egypt has not been able to do it. We saw what happened in Libya with Gaddafi, right? Okay. But united as one, the United States will listen. China will become secondary. Okay? That's it.